Kali. None shall stand before us this day.
Hello there everybody, you are the Idents, I'm SuperSonicBlur, and welcome back to another God Guide kit explanation and build. This time, we're going to be looking at Kali in Season 4. Interesting god Kali. She's very much a late game hyper carry assassin. You can shove her in the solo lane if you want. As with most gods, you have to play the will it solo game. Kali is a... for doing that. Basically, the goal is to get to late game, and shoving her in the solo lane, you're like, I'm a hard farm for 15 minutes and then turn up late game. However, that being said, she's still a fantastically strong god, and there are some fun ways that you can play her, especially in the jungle if you're with a coordinated team. But before we get too much into the details of exactly how to do that, first of all, let's go over her kit. Okay then, so Kali's passive is called Marked for Death. Kali selects a god to mark, and doing so, Kali gains physical penetration against that god and will heal 80% of her maximum health for killing that god, or a 15% heal for assisting in the kill of that god. Goal bounty from that god is increased by 30% for a kill or assist. If a marked target dies, the enemy god closest to Kali will then become her mark target. If Kali is killed by an enemy god, she may choose a new target. This means that at level 1, she has 10% additional penetration, or 11% penetration actually, against one god on the enemy team. So in this case, because there's only Ra-bot, unfortunately I'm not going to be able to show you too well, but as you can see over there, Ra has that little symbol next to him. That little symbol shows that he is marked. When you choose a new target, you get that. Unfortunately, I can't show you the select wheel, but it's dead simple. You basically get a wheel to select from, you're like, oh, who do you want to pick? And you pick that god. Main thing you're going to want to look to do is focus either the squishies early so that they play back and it makes it easier for you to gank them. If you're going to spend a lot of time in the solo lane, dump it there. Or, you know, wherever. I mean, later game, you can put it into the front lines, especially into the tanks, and in doing so, you'll be able to blow them up, gaining an additional 30% penetration against them, which is brilliant. Either way, that is the first piece of her kit. So already you can see that she's very much designed to go around the map and get kills and get healed up from it, and then keep killing, and she can snowball out of destruction in a fight, which is really, really useful. Her one is called Nimble Strike. This is a leap that affects enemies and yourself. Kali leaps forward, damaging enemies in the target area and healing herself for a percentage of their missing health. She will heal for 20% of the target's missing health. So if they have 1,000 health and they have 200 health gone, no, they have 200 health left, that means they have 800 health missing. So we take, she will heal up for 90 of that, I want to say. Something like that. It's 20% of whatever's missing. You guys know how it works. If there's like 200 missing, they'll heal for 40. So, yeah. It's 160 she heals for with the 80 thing, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it sounds something like that. Either way, it's basically a heal. You can use this on wave minions as well, so that's very useful. But the main reason you're going to want to use this is to actually get out. It does do a fair amount of damage, but again, like I said, this is your escape, not your engage tool. Lash is a line ability that has a very interesting targeter to it. Kali throws several blades that converge upon the target location. Each does damage and causes bleed. Kali gains physical lifesteal against targets affected by this bleed. So the bleed is a simple tick damage that ticks 6 times, and also as well it does initial damage as well per blade, so you take a burst and then a dot, and you gain lifesteal against them. Now I'll show you this targeter right now. As you can see, this targeter is very interesting. It converges and then spreads out. So what I can do here is I can hit this Odin with all 3 and go shonk. So there, as you can see, that's pretty sweet. So that's pretty nice. That's a really nice ability. This is the one that you'll use to poke people. It's the one you use for wave ability as well. And if you get in close to them, you can fire all 3 of them point blank into someone, and it does a lot of damage. Speaking of damage, incense. Kali hurls her incense at her feet, exploding it. Enemies are stunned while Kali gains physical power boost. This is really important. It is a 1-second instant stun that gives you up to 50 power for 8 seconds. The basic concept of things that you're going to want to do is you're going to incense someone and then lash them, because the buff duration is 4 seconds and the lash bleed duration is 3 seconds, meaning that the tick damage will always be at least 10 stronger because you incense. Also as well, it makes it easier to do, and you'll also be able to get maybe a basic attack or two off. Then finally, her ultimate, Destruction. Kali becomes an unstoppable force of destruction, creating a damage aura around her. During this time, she can be reduced to 1 health, but she cannot die. She is immune to knock-up, slow effects, and protected from roots, but is still vulnerable to stuns. If Kali is under 15% of her total health at the end of the duration, she will be healed back to 15%. This ability enables her to go off in a team fight. This is the I need just another second or another basic attack, but I know I'd die if I didn't get it off. So you go into destruction, bang, you start hitting people up, they can't kill you, so as a result, you're able to go in. If you're on your target, they can't get off of you, they can't peel you off of them, so they die. You get 80% of your health back, and bang, you can go on your next target because it's the next closest to you. So you just turn like to the left and be like, bang, do that. So it's very, very, very strong. I'll quickly go over all 4 of the abilities for you real quick, just so you guys can see. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. So Nimble Leap does this, bonk, like that. It's a fairly slow leap, and it has a pretty decent range on it. I already showed you the lash, so you can work like this, and just whee, like that. As you can see, it'll hit there. Incense is this, so I go whack, and I suddenly do have more damage. It's pretty much instant cast. And then her ultimate, which I have on instant cast. I think it is instant cast. It's about the same range as Incense, but if I remember correctly, then I'm pretty sure it's on instant. Let me just refresh the cooldowns on everything so that we can check. Yeah, it's on instant cast. So, you know. Another thing that I would suggest for this, just quickly, is probably putting it on quick casting, just so you can hold it down and click it if you need to. So, for example... Oh, never mind. It's just instant cast always. Never mind. But yeah, that's what the ult does. And as you can see, just above here, this is the target who you have selected. It's Ra. And it will show you in there who your target is. But anyway, that's her kit. That's how it all works. Now that we've gone over a kit, let's go over a build for Kali. Alright then, so Kali. I'm going to be working her as she is a jungler, as this is the primary role for her. If you go solo with her, you basically do the same thing, except you pick up a death toll at the start. That's it. You kind of death toll and maybe a teleport. That's it. That's the only differences here. However, for the jungle, we're going to go Bumba's Mask. Now, whilst Kali does have, by the way, an amazing attack chain of 1.5.5, so it's 1, bum, bum, 1, bum, bum, 1, bum, bum, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, wait, is it 1? Yeah, it is 1.5.5. So she has a very fast attack chain. You can go for the Death Toll. It's fair enough, and it's a fine item. However, Bluestone Pendant is amazing on Kali, but the simple fact of the matter is, she will already gain lifesteal when she uses her 2, which means she can already sustain from that. She'll get the sustain from Bumba's Mask from the health and the mana, so that's fine. And Bumba's Mask will give her mana, it'll give her physical power, and as well, it makes her poke that much more stronger. For example, if I come in here and just whack, like I do that, you just get more damage, and it's great, and it will synergize very well with another item that we're going to pick up in just a moment. So, now that we've got that, you start with 2 health and 2 mana potions. You can start with 2 multi potions if you want, instead of 2 mana potions or whatever. I just personally like 2 of each because it's bog standard and generic. In terms of your actives, you have to play this one a little bit by ear. Do they have a lot of CC that you could get out of? Do they have a lot of burst that even if you were CC immune for, it would still kill you? So you have to think about it that way, what you want. Usually it will be beads, sometimes it will be Aegis. You have to kind of think. Personally, I would always say beads, just because in late game team fights, chances are they have some crowd control, so it's useful to have. If they have like no crowd control whatsoever, then yeah, ignore it. But yeah, beads is pretty much what you're gonna get. And by the way, for those wondering, I put it on here just so that when you're moving with D and things like that, sometimes you'll accidentally hit F, and in the early game, that sucks. So by doing this, you won't. which is very useful. Now, once you've done that, the next thing you're going to want to go for is Warrior Tabi. It says here Ninja Tabi, and yes, late game Ninja Tabi are amazing for her. However, in the early game, your damage isn't going to come from your basic attacks, it's going to come from Lash, and the stronger you can make that, the better. So more physical power is better for that. So you pick up your Warrior Tabi. Now that you got Warrior Tabi, the next thing you're going to want to start being able to do is start chasing people down. But for that, we're going to go into an item which this season is insane. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets nerfed in 4.3. That is Heartseeker. Heartseeker, especially on Kali, is so strong. Every successful basic attack gives you 1 stack. A 5, your next ability deals bonus damage equal to 100% of your physical power on the first enemy god hit. This gives you movement speed, penetration, which is great for Kali, and physical power, so it's very, very strong. And what it means you could do is you go 1, I'm just going to get the 5 stacks here. But what this means you do is you do this, and you do so much more damage. And the reason you do so much more damage is, remember, at this point, Lash is doing, just at level 2, it's going to do 3 times the 45, so that is 135, plus 60 in tick over 3 seconds. We're going to do more scaling. Plus, then we also as well have the Heartseeker doing another 80 damage burst instantly, and Bluestone ticks as well. So we go, bam! Like that, and it's amazing, and that's without even using the stun. So yeah, if I put the stun on this as well, and I get an additional 10 power, then whoo, that's really strong. So you can go like, look at that. That was very strong. That was a huge amount of burst, and that's the strange thing is, even though Kali is a late game god, her mid burst is really strong 1v1, and that's why you get the Bluestone Pendant, because you get ticks on top of a tick, on top of incense damage, on top of Heartseeker damage, and that's amazing. Next item you're going to want to pick up is going to be a Hastened Fatalis. This is going to start letting you really start ratcheting people down. It's going to give you more movement speed on top of the speed buff, on top of the attack speed and penetration. You're really going to start being able to use that passive from your Heartseeker a little bit more. And as you can see, Kali has a great attack speed change, so she can go like, as you can see, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then you can just go like Heartseeker, like that. And as you can see, like 90 damage. Like, look at how much damage we're doing. That's a lot of damage. That is a lot of damage right now. So that's pretty good. Next item you're going to want to pick up is Kin Size. Kin Size hurt a lot. They hurt a very, very large amount on this god. So getting those is amazing. Kin Size really just brings in, it gives a lot of physical power, so your burst is still pretty good. It means that Heartseeker is still going to be effective. Gives you attack speed, which with her attack chain is amazing. Gives you that basic attack of dealing 4% of a target's max health. Bearing in mind as well, you'll also have that penetration from your passive, means that you are more likely to do just that 4. It's so, so, so strong, and it's really easy to do. Like, just bong, bong. 130 additional burst damage. Like, that's a lot. Not to mention as well, you'll be able to jump out and you'll be fine. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You can blow someone up. Oh, and you do have your ultimate as well if you need it. So yeah, that's a thing. Next item that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to sell your Bumba's Mask. Keep Bluestone or Bumbas. It's entirely up to you, depending on the stage of the game. Personally, I'd sell the Bumbas just so that you can keep that dot. It may not do much, but it can do stuff. Plus, also, as well, it's still got some power on it, and this one doesn't. Next up, you're going to want to get Titan's Bane. Titan's Bane just really lets you make sure that you have that penetration. If you go on your target, you will have 63% penetration against them at level 20. I don't think that there's any way I can really explain just how amazing that is. If they have 200 protections at this stage, you have what? 10 pen plus 10 pen here. So there's 20 flat pen plus 63. So if they have 200, you have the equivalent of, well, that's 10%. You have 73% pen against them. That's 146 penetration. That is a lot, and that's on a target with 200 health. That's a front line. Against the squishies, who, you know, may have less than 100, you're still going to do almost all of their protections. At 73 plus the flat 20, it's a lot. Last thing you're going to want to pick up is basically the item that turns Kali into a blender. That item is Odysseus's bow. And the reason for that is because in team fights this is going to spread, but not only that, this procs off against the one target you have. Not to mention you still have an okay amount of power, so it's not bad. But getting this really lets you hit up to 50% of your total basic attack damage. That's a lot. Not to mention as well, if I do this, look at that. Also whack. Like, look at this. Look at the yellow numbers. Look at all the numbers right now. That is a lot. So yeah, that's a pretty solid build. The last thing you're going to want to go for is you're going to want to sell your Heartseekers. Yes, I know Heartseekers. I was saying about how amazing it is. But there is still an item better that you can get. Stone Cutting Sword. Get Stone Cutting Sword, and then finally trade out your boots for Ninja Tabby. This build here will do you so well, because you get movement speed, 50 physical power from this, and you get to reduce their protections by 10. So we have 30 protections there. Also, you gain them as well, so you gain 30 protections. So you have 30 protection shred there, plus the 10 on there, so you have 40, plus the 63%. You pen a lot. Like, look at this. Not to mention your attack speed is pretty good. And you can chase someone down, you still have your lash damage, you're going to gain lifesteal against them, and it's pretty good. And if you need to, you have your ult, which is pretty damn good. And you have your escape and your incense as well, just to really blow people up. This build should see you through perfectly fine. In terms of your second active, this one is going to sound very strange, but there's a very easy reason for it that I'm going to explain. You want to use your leap as an escape. You don't want to jump into someone with it. You want to leave. With your nimble strike. Because of that, you need a way to get into the backline and deep into the backline quickly. Get Blink Rune. Blink Rune enables you to dump into the backline. Of course, in the end game, you just want to upgrade these as well. Find a point in the middle of the game, usually, to try and get these if they're off cooldown. It's pretty useful, especially if I had to recommend one, especially Blink Rune. Getting that up every 90 seconds is so useful. So what you want to be able to do is your goal here is blink in, incest, slash, and just kill. That is your goal. And then leap away if you need to. Or leap in. Do whatever you need to do. But this build giving you such a high attack chain. Oh yeah, by the way, just let's level 20 this up, and we'll see just how fast an attack chain Kali will get. Yeah, 2.38. That's fast. So Kali's a blender, and I think this explains why, ladies and gentlemen. Not to mention, just look how much damage you do. It's a lot of damage. Now, I'll see a lot of people who'll say like, oh, I can get Ickful and it'll help. Don't bother with Ickful. Don't bother with it. For an additional, 400 gold, you gain the same penetration. You gain, slightly less power and movement speed. It's more beneficial to you. You don't need it. You don't need the silver branch bow. The only time you'd ever get either of these two is if you're in 1v1 with Kali, because 1v1ing with Kali is dirty as hell, because you only have the one target and you just snowball hard. But yeah, that's aside from that. Yeah, Kali kind of hurts. The only things that really deal with Kali, there are a couple of things that can do Kali in very well. Physical items that really hurt her. Midgardian Mail. The slow really sucks. It's kind of like, hey, Kali, you want to hit me? Nah, you can't hit me. So that kind of sucks. Other items that really suck against her, or sucks to fight as her, if you want to buy them, is Mantle of Discord. A lot of protections, a little bit of cooldown, and you get that CC immunity. Just bang. It gets her off you. Hercules is a good counter just because the amount of health that he can end up building. The heal he has is very strong. Bracer of the Undoing as well with that on Hercules is dirty as hell. And he can punch and push her around a little bit, which kind of sucks for Kali. She wants to be the one who makes the choices in where they fight. Geb is very good as a quote-unquote counter, because if Kali blinks in and she uses her incense, the idea behind Kali is you want to blink incense and just start hitting people. If you can Geb shield that, you're going to be able to take away some of her in-hands. It's 600 health shield, it sucks, and then they can start fighting with that. So Kali really doesn't like that. So that's an option that you have for her. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, now that we've gone over a build for her, let's go over a leveling guide. Alright then, ladies and gentlemen, so the first thing you're going to want to look at is which of my abilities does the most damage. Now you may be looking at this and think, Nimble Strike has a 70 next to it, we pick that one. But remember, you have 3 times the damage on Lash on the first thing that's hit. So as a result, Lash will do, let's see, 35 goes to 70, 105 base plus 5 times 6 is 30, so 135 base plus whatever that scaling is. I don't know what that scaling is. I think that's 5% scaling and then 20% scaling, so 60% plus it's got 90% scaling on it. So yeah, you pick up Nimble Strike, and that's pretty good. So Nimble Strike it is. You get Nimble Strike. You know Nimble Strike, like Lash. The reason you get Lash is because what you can do is when you want to pull a camp, is I know these camps are going to be a little thing, but you can go like that, and you can hit all 3 of them, or if you pull one, you can hit all 3 of them like that. So pull it first and then hit it with the Lash, because you'll be able to hit all of them with all 3 ticks of the blade, so you'll do the triple damage to each of them. Next up in the abilities, it's kind of a difficult one, honestly. I mean, Nimble Strike is useful for being able to do stuff. Because of the way that the matches are right now, I would say getting Incense. The reason you want to get Incense is where you're going to be doing like wave in the solo lane, looking to try and get something in the jungle, then wave in the solo, then looking for something in the jungle. Getting the 2 can help interrupt channeled clear. So for example, Guan Yu 3, you can stun him out of it. You can stun Nike out of her 2, or her 1 out of it. Bologna 3, you can stun out of it. Amaterasu, you can't quite stun her out of it, but you can deter her from being able to increase the damage on it, so that's useful. Just being able to do that. And then it sets you up for getting poke off with Lash, which if you aim it correctly, you can use into the wave. Other than that, it's pretty useful. Next thing you're going to want to get is the second point in Lash. This enables you to put pressure. It lets you put pressure in waves, be that mid, in jungle, in solo, wherever. It lets you put more poke out as well, which is really, really useful. Remember, you're going to be having that bluestone pendant tick, so that's really useful to have. Level 4, you will want to get Nimble Strike. It's at this point you do need it. Level 5, get Destruction. And this is where things are going to divert. Early on, you may need to level Destruction because you may be unsure as to when exactly to use it. You may push yourself a little bit too deep with that. However, the only thing that it increases that's really of any benefit is the duration. That being said, everything else kinda is quote-unquote better to level because you don't really want to use Destruction for the damage, you're doing it for the saving grace, and 4 seconds should be enough once you start to learn Kali. Early, you may need to get the crutch of the increased duration, but over time, you should learn to just back away from leveling it and level up Nimble Strike, just because it's still going to heal 20% of the target's missing health, and it can be nice just to have that additional damage sometimes if you need to just jump in and get a kill, especially when you don't have the blink early. So this is where things are going to start diverging. We're still going to level Lash up. Level 8, get Incense. Level 9, like I said, we're not going to worry about Destruction, so we're going to go with Lash. Then we're going to keep leveling Incense. Incense is your second level because power buff. This is great. Let's get that power. Let's get that buff duration. That's pretty good. Also, the reason we're leveling Lash as well is because it comes with lifesteal and the tick damage and poke is good. So after there, you want to just level this up, and then we level this up, and then we start leveling. I mean, you can level the ult at this point. Nimble Strike kind of does everything you need to. So again, it's up to you. There's no duration decrease or increase from it. Nimble Strike doesn't necessarily do that much, so I guess level 13 is the point at which you can start looking at it, but I kind of feel that it's very similar to Thor. The only thing you're increasing is the damage it does. Do you really need the more damage? Nah, look at something else. Or look to other things. So as a result, you may as well go Nimble Strike. It's up to you, honestly. Play it by ear. But for me personally, Nimble Strike, it's more burst, which helps Kali be able to keep her kill stuff, and 4 seconds should be enough to get her out, especially when she's got a blink. You've got Nimble Strike. If you're using Nimble Strike to go in, then just be careful. Be very careful. So we get that. Then we keep going with it again, keep going with it again, keep going with it again, and now at this point you do start leveling the ultimate. And it's at this point that Kali is just a monster. She's an absolute monster. She's more of a monster than Scylla is a monster. Like, it's just insane. I mean, every 0.5 seconds, you're taking 45 damage for 5 seconds. So times that by 10. You're taking 400 plus 7, which is another 5%. So plus 50% scaling. It's 70 in total. So you're taking 520 base damage from that. That's a lot. I won't deny that is a lot. But again, you don't need the ult too much. The ult, the main reason you want the ult is, oh god, I'm super low. And yeah, in terms of relics, great thing to do. Absolutely great thing. Or rituals, sorry. Flickering Ritual. To be fair, Flickering Ritual is basically OP on everything because it's Combat Blink. That's great. Combat Blink is useful. Rallying Ritual is useful. Frenzied Ritual is definitely useful. Kind of don't really use these elixirs right now just because if you have 3,000 gold, you're getting these. That's kind of how I feel with that. Potion of Physical Might, you can get that. If I had to choose necessarily rituals, again, you're going to have to play this by ear. Blink Ritual is the most important, just because you can use this in tandem with blinking in. You can double blink, essentially, so you can blink, which is very useful if you need to. Or instead, you can be like, hey, I'm going to Nimble Strike in, get more damage off, and then I'm going to stun you, and then I'm going to 2 you, and then I'm going to blink out, and you save your blink. Just be careful. It is 750 gold for an engage, so if you're going to do it, make sure it's worth it. That's all I'm going to say, is make sure it's worth it. Make sure if you're blinking in that it's to get that kill on the ADC or the backline, so you're blinking in and getting that ADC engage, and then you kill them, and then as a result, they're losing their damage, and as a result, you're able to kill them. Other than that, really it's down to your target selection, and you need to play this one in the game. Are you having trouble with the front line? If you're having trouble with the front line, as a result, maybe pick your target in one of them, so you can blow them up. Once you blow them off and isolate them, back line is completely exposed, and as a result, you can kill them much easier. So yeah, if they have like an Athena who's really, really annoying, or a Geb, or a Hercules, or a Bellona who's just really annoying, maybe don't just put the thing in the squishy. So, you know, maybe don't. I mean, I'm gonna see if I can quickly just check the thing. I also want to see just quite how much damage this does. Okay, this does a lot of damage, and Kali melts this. Wait, what? Oh, that was interesting. He didn't drop a thing. But yeah, I do want to die here, so I want to see if I can put the teleport up. I know I could kill it, but I do want to die, just to see if we can show that target to select. So this is what turns up. Never mind, there's only one person. Forever alone. But yeah, your basic concept is blink in, get one basic off, and then lash. And as you can see, you get a lot of gold. You get a lot of gold for it. You get a lot of gold. And as you can see, I'm fully healing. And remember, it's whoever's the closest god, or that kind of thing. You'll also see who the target is based off of the bit in the bottom, but there you go. And as you can see, she's a blender, so she hurts. I mean, I'm doing true damage to this Ra. Like, that's a lot. So yeah, that's what Kali does. And she can get pentakills in team fights, because if you can get to the back line and kill the back line, then guess what? You've killed your target. If you've killed your target, you get that 80% heal. 80% heal doesn't sound like it might be full heal, and sometimes it's not quote-unquote a full heal, but you know, if you have under 2,000 health, that's a 1,600 health increase. You have to be under 1,000. You have to be under 300 health for it not to be a full heal. So yeah, this is pretty much what you want on Kali. Just wank, bang, 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 bang. Whee! And then you can just run around the map. She's very much like a Mercury in the late game, where she just burns people down. However, she takes a little bit longer potentially, just because RNG of crits. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, that is your God Guide, kit explanation, and build for Kali. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Make sure to let me know in the comment section down below what you thought, whether there's any items or changes or your own experiences with Kali that you have. Remember, if you help everyone here, we can all help each other get better, and by helping everyone get better, it means that we get better games because, oh my god, Smite really needs a better player base in terms of the skill level, because matchmaking is the thing. But, you know, whatever. We're here to help each other, and our own experiences can help that. If we found that something that doesn't work on Kali, then do it. By all means, let everyone know what does and doesn't work on Kali. Your own experiences are helpful. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, my name has been SuperSonicBlur. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and favorite for more, and to share this stuff so people know that it exists. You guys have been a fantastic audience, and I shall see you all next time.